Does your hopelessness feel permanent? There are moments in life when hopelessness doesn't just visit you, it moves in. The old man leaned closer to the fire, and the flames painted long amber lines across the deep creases of his face. Around him, the listeners sat wrapped in blankets and silence, while the wind moved softly through the pine trees overhead. I remember a man, he continued, who once came through these hills years ago. He wasn't old, though he carried himself like someone who'd already walked too far. His clothes were clean enough, his hands strong enough, but there was something behind his eyes that looked tired in a way sleep couldn't touch. He stayed in a small cabin near the river for a season. Didn't talk much. Every morning he'd wake before sunrise, sit outside with a tin cup of coffee gone cold, and stare into the trees like he was waiting for something that never arrived. What happened to him? One of the women asked softly. The old man rubbed his palms together near the warmth. He told me once, he said, that life had turned gray. Said he still worked, still ate, still answered people when they spoke to him, but inside, everything felt distant, like he was watching his own life through frosted glass. The fire shifted. He said the hardest part wasn't sadness. It was the certainty that nothing would ever change, that tomorrow would simply be another copy of today. A long silence settled around the circle. Now, most folks think hopelessness comes like thunder, he said. But it doesn't. Not usually. It comes quietly, like snow falling at night. Little by little, thought by thought, until one morning a man wakes up buried beneath it. The listeners watched the sparks rise into the black sky. That fellow believed every thought his mind handed him, every fear, every memory. His mind became like a crow that never stopped cawing. The old man chuckled faintly, and after enough time listening to that noise, he started believing the noise was who he was. The youngest boy frowned. Wasn't it? That's what he thought. The wind stirred the fire smoke sideways. One evening, the old man continued, we were sitting by the river after supper. The water was moving slow from the mountain thaw, and the whole world seemed tired. Finally, he asked me something. He said, do you ever get free from your own head? The listeners sat utterly still now. And what did you tell him? Someone whispered. The old man smiled faintly. I told him about the sky. You see, the old man said, pointing upward through the trees, storms make a terrible mistake. They believe they own the heavens. Thunder roars, clouds swallow the sun, rain beats the earth, and for a while, it truly feels like the storm is everything. But above every storm, the sky remains untouched. Only the fire spoke for a moment. That man had spent years mistaking the storm for himself. Every fearful thought became truth. Every passing pain became identity. He never stopped long enough to notice there was something quieter beneath all that noise. The old man leaned back against the log behind him. So I told him to stop fighting his mind for a little while. Stop chasing every thought like a dog chasing crows. Just sit. Breathe. Listen. And did it work? The young boy asked eagerly. Not at first, the old man said with a dry laugh. First thing he found was more noise. Restlessness. Fear. Old memories clawing for attention. Most people quit there because they think silence should feel peaceful immediately. He shook his head. But silence isn't the absence of noise. It's what waits beneath it. The listeners grew quieter still. Over time, the old man continued. Something changed in him. Not all at once. More like ice thawing at the edge of a lake. He began noticing moments, tiny moments, where the mind would grow still. And underneath all the fear, there was something else. The old man placed a hand gently against his chest. A kind of presence. Calm, spacious, alive. The firelight flickered in his eyes. He realized his thoughts were passing weather. not the whole sky. His suffering was real, yes, but it was not the deepest thing about him. He stayed through spring, practicing stillness, quiet, watching his thoughts just pass through. He gave himself the chance to discover what exists beneath the endless noise of the mind, he said softly. And one morning I found him standing beside the river at sunrise. First time I'd ever seen him smiling without forcing it. The old man looked out into the darkness beyond the flames. He told me, for the first time, I think maybe there's more to me than fear. The wind sighed through the trees again. And that, the old man said, is when hope returned. Not loudly, not like fireworks, not like some grand miracle. It came back the way dawn comes back to the earth, quietly, gradually, until one day the world had color again. The fire burned low now, glowing red at its center. The old man folded his weathered hands together. If hopelessness ever finds you, he said gently, don't be too quick to believe it's permanent. Storms are convincing things, but no storm has ever managed to become the sky. The listeners sat in thoughtful silence while sparks drifted upward like tiny wandering stars. And somewhere deep in the woods, beyond the reach of the firelight, the long dark night felt just a little less endless.